Planning your trek starts with a map and a good cup of coffee. So, when you're starting to plan your trek, you find yourself a good map over the area, and you will start to lay out the plan for the days. What you need to consider first of all is how far you can walk every day, and of course how many days you plan to be trekking. I think a reasonable speed is about 3 kilometers per hour to walk. Consider that for one day. I think if you are trekking for 6 hours in total, and maybe adding 2 hours for breaks and lunch and so on, then you have a full 8 hour. And that would take you about 18 kilometers. If you need to walk further, then you know the day is going to be longer. But that's, I think, a reasonable speed for trekking with a heavy backpack. So, how far is that on the map? Well, that depends on what map you have and the scale on the map, obviously. On this map, we have a scale. I have a little measurement here. On this scale, it's 1 to 50,000, which means that 1 centimeter on the map is 50,000 centimeters in real life. So 1 centimeter is 500 meters. But here I have a little scale and measuring 4 kilometers. So I take the string on my compass and I can lay out 4 kilometers, this distance, and then I can easily lay that out on my map and I'll see how far that will take me. And I mentioned 3 kilometers an hour. If I instead go for 3 kilometers on my scale here, it's this distance. So then I know this is roughly the distance that will take me within 1 hour. And that is, of course, if the ground is reasonably flat. You can also see on the map some curves that will indicate how steep the terrain is. And between each of the lines, it's 20 meters in height. So if the route is very steep, then you'll also have to add some extra time. And if it's not super steep, so about 10 minutes extra for 100 meters in height. The map and the compass is not the only...
No, but it starts with the map and the compass. So being at home and planning your trip, you should always be looking for the trail that you are going to walk. And on the map you can look for streams or mountain tops that you can refer to when you're out trekking. And that means that when you're planning the route, you'll see some interest points on the map, and then when you're out trekking you will be looking for them to make sure that you're on the right trail. So for example, you can look for this mountaintop here, and you can look for like the lakes and peninsulas, and then like these streams here, for example. And when you're then out on the trail, it starts with making sure that you know how to use a compass with your map. Because if you have just a compass, it won't help you anything. And if you only have a map, it won't do that much good. So that means to bring out your compass, make sure it points north, and then orientate the map on the same bearing as the compass is showing north. So when you look at the map, you know you're looking north, and the map are corresponding to the reality. That's the first part. But then there's other options to use alongside the map and compass. And that is map on apps, for example, or these GPS systems, in this case InReach, which make it so much easier to find where you are, and you can make routes in advance at home and follow along on the maps. But the batteries will drain, and it's very important to make sure that you follow on the map and then in the apps or in the GPS system. Because it should be fun to make sure that you know where you are. I mean, it's a little bit exciting to explore the trail. So using all of this will make sure that you know where you are and where you're heading.
So planning your route will not only take you from A to B, it will help you also to find good camp spots in advance. That might be close to a stream or any other place where you know you can find a good, reasonable, flat place for pitching your tent. When you are out on the trail, make sure to bring your map and use it to find the way in the surrounding and really learn what the markings on the map, what that will look like in reality. And you can really be active. If you see there should be a stream coming from the side, make sure that you follow on the map so you see what the difference in nature will look like. That will make it much easier along the way to read the map properly.
Yes, and as an add-on also, not just looking at the map and the surroundings, look at the weather and what you believe will come up like in a couple of hours. So you doesn't just look at the map and the surrounding. It's equally important to look at the weather, because the weather might be the deciding factor if you need to like put up camp a little bit earlier, or if you can trek in a very nice sunny weather.
It's not a bad idea to have different options as well for making camps. And that could be if you know it's a tricky part, a lot of meters to climb, then you can have some different options. But once you have planned your trip, make sure that you will inform someone at home so they also know what trip or what trek you are going to head out on.
Yes, that's a very important aspect. And also when it comes to security, and if something goes wrong, then it's much easier for those that will come and help you if someone really knows your planned route and where you're heading and your campsites and what your plans are. Then they can really use that information to faster get to your location. And then it's equally important to have some means of contacting someone if you need help. And here is, for example, an inReach that you can use and send your location, and that will automatically also send a message to your nearest and dearest, so everyone is informed that you need help. Something to add to that is that that button is only pressed when it's a real emergency. It's not to take lightly.
So these are the basics when it comes to navigation connected to a marked trail. Of course, there are a lot more to learn if you want to really understand orienteering and navigation, and that could of course be handy if the weather is really bad with a lot of fog, or if you need to find a direction for any other reason. So of course there is a lot more you can learn as well.